It started with a sock. I was down on my knees next to the dryer, reaching under it with a coat hanger for Alex's missing Spider-Man sock. He'd thrown a fit about it before school. I wasn't even supposed to be home. I'd called in sick from work after barely sleeping. I'd had this weird gut feeling all morning, like I'd forgotten something important, but nothing came to mind. The coat hanger snagged something small and shiny. I pulled it out, thinking it'd be a quarter. It wasn't. It was a receipt stub barely bigger than a movie ticket. I almost tossed it in the trash without looking, but the name printed at the top stopped me cold. Mountain Breeze Therapeutic Massage. The date? Tuesday. Name Kayla H. Kayla. My wife. She told me Tuesday was a full day of meetings at her office. She even called during lunch like she always did, complaining about cold coffee and her idiot boss. I stared at the address, on the east side of town. We live in Greenwood, a good 40-minute drive away. No reason to be out there, not for work or errands, not for anything. I stood there, still holding the receipt. It had a little smear of lotion on the edge. I didn't jump to conclusions. I'm not that guy. Kayla and I had been married for almost 9 years. We had our routines, our quirks, our little arguments. But we were solid, or I thought we were. Still, she'd never hidden a receipt before. Never once. I folded it in half and stuffed it in my jeans pocket. Later that morning, while she was dropping off Nina at gymnastics, I went back through the kitchen trash. I had to be fast. I wasn't sure what I was even looking for. Then I found it. Another stub. Same place, different date. 2 weeks earlier. My hand was shaking. I pressed my fingers into my temple, trying to think straight. Maybe it was just stress relief. Maybe she didn't want me to worry. But 2 appointments. Same exact place. And not a word about either. I didn't ask her. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I decided to just watch. So I stayed quiet. I went back to work that day like everything was normal. Sat through back-to-back calls. Smiled at clients I didn't give a damn about. But the second lunch rolled around, I shut my door and pulled up my laptop. I ordered a GPS tracker. Discreet, magnetic, hard to trace. I added a dash cam to the cart, plus a micro-security cam with motion detection. Then I downloaded an app that could copy all phone data as soon as a device got plugged in. Reviews said it worked fast, under 60 seconds. I didn't eat, didn't even think about food. That night, Kayla acted like usual. She made pasta, helped Nina with homework, scrolled through Pinterest while we watched TV. I nodded along to everything, acted normal. Meanwhile, my brain was splitting in half. Next morning, while she packed lunches, I slipped into the garage and installed the dash cam behind a stack of paint cans. 1 click. Tiny green light. Motion activated. Later, while she was putting Alex down for a nap, I stuck the second cam on the hallway cabinet facing the bedrooms. I was sweating through my shirt. That night, she got in the shower like she always did around 9. I walked into the bedroom, picked up her phone, and plugged it into mine. I watched the screen flash. The app did its thing. 30 seconds. 50. Done. I unplugged, wiped it clean, set everything back where it was, and stepped out like nothing happened. I took a deep breath, then opened the copied data. No flagged texts, no weird call logs, nothing in photos except for a few boring family shots from earlier in the month. Then, nothing for the last 3 weeks. Dead space. That was the part that messed with me. Kayla took photos constantly. Of the kids, of her lunches, stupid quotes off coffee mugs. She wasn't the clean your camera roll type. But here, it looked wiped. I checked her browser history. Cleared. Every app she used had logout timestamps. She'd scrubbed it all. The next morning, I got the alert. Motion detected. New footage. I waited till the house was empty. Kayla had left for work. Teresa had taken the kids to the park. I pulled up the file and hit play. It was Monday. I remembered it clear. I'd stayed late at the office for a quarterly meeting. The footage started just after 5. I saw Kayla walk through the garage, phone in hand, still in her blazer and heels. She dropped her bag on the bench and left the door cracked open behind her. 2 minutes later, the hallway cam caught movement. A man walked in. He didn't knock, didn't ring the bell. Just let himself in like it was his damn house. He had a key. My throat went dry. I leaned closer to the screen. The footage didn't give me his face, just the back of his head and broad shoulders. He was in a blue shirt and jeans. He moved quick, like someone used to being there, like someone who didn't need to sneak. He closed the door behind him and walked down the hall, straight toward our bedroom. I scrubbed through the footage. No sound, just motion. Kayla met him at the bedroom door. No kiss, no hug, just a short touch on his chest. Like they didn't need all that anymore. Like this wasn't new. They disappeared inside. They stayed there for 46 minutes. Then he left the same way he came in, through the garage. Didn't speak. Didn't even look around. I sat frozen in the garage, staring at the screen. I still didn't know who he was, but I knew enough to hate him. I replayed the footage. Not once. Not twice. I watched that bastard walk through my house over and over until the hallway camera's battery died and I could barely see straight. Then I pulled the earlier files. That's when I saw it. He'd been here before. Same guy. Same walk. Twice that week already. Always the same routine. He parked down the block just out of view. Walked up slow. Casual. No rush. Let himself in. He never looked around like someone nervous. No hesitation. And he didn't act like a stranger. One clip from Wednesday hit me in the gut. He came in while Kayla was upstairs. Nina was sitting on the floor in the living room playing with her Barbie camper. She looked up, saw him, and smiled. "Hi," she said, clear as day on the hallway cam. He leaned down and hugged her. Hugged her. Then Alex toddled into frame, arms up like he was used to it. The guy picked him up without even asking. My hands went cold. This wasn't just some secret fling. This guy didn't just know my wife, he knew my kids. They knew him. He went straight to the kitchen, opened the fridge, grabbed a damn soda like he lived here. Couldn't breathe. My own son had never run to me like that. Ever. I slammed the laptop shut, got up, and paced the garage like a caged animal. Then I turned back, reopened it, and pulled up a private browser window. I searched for paternity tests, home kits, fast delivery, no lab needed, just swabs. I found one that shipped overnight. I ordered it without blinking. 3 kits, one for me, one for Nina, one for Alex. My stomach turned, but I couldn't stop myself. I needed to know. If this guy was walking in like Dad of the Year, I had to know if he actually was. I checked the time. Kayla was still out. Said she was working late again. Just out of habit, I clicked into the GPS tracker app. Her car was in Easton, not near her office. But sure enough, parked right outside Mountain Breeze Therapeutic Massage. That same strip mall. Again, that made 3 times now. All without a word to me. All while pretending work had her tied up. I stared at the screen like it might change. Didn't. I sat there with the garage door cracked open. The night breeze cutting through my shirt. Thinking about all the years I'd been busting my ass for this family. Kayla and I had built a life, or at least I thought we had. I guess that was just my version. Inside the house, I could hear the muffled sound of Nina singing upstairs. Alex babbling about dinosaurs. It was like some twisted dream. Normal sounds from a life I wasn't even sure was mine anymore. I leaned over the laptop and scheduled the paternity kit delivery to my office. Discreet. No signatures. Then I closed the garage door, turned off the light, and walked back inside. I barely slept the night before, but Friday morning I made myself move. I told Kayla I had car trouble and might be home early. She barely reacted, just said, "Okay, good luck," and grabbed her purse. I drove around the block twice before finally pulling into the driveway. Teresa's car was already there. I could hear the kids yelling inside. I walked through the door trying to look annoyed about the fake car problem. Teresa popped her head out of the kitchen. "Oh hey, you're early. Everything all right?" "Yeah." Belt slipped. "I'm waiting on the tow guy." I shrugged and kicked off my shoes. "Kayla around?" "No, she left maybe an hour ago. Said she had to run errands." Of course she did. I headed upstairs slow, listening for her footsteps even though I knew she wasn't home. The bedroom smelled like her perfume, vanilla and something floral. It always hit me like a punch now. I went straight to her nightstand. Top drawer, usual mess. Lip balm, loose change, pens, hair ties. Second drawer, books and some old receipts. Back drawer, socks. I pushed them aside, digging toward the back. That's when my fingers hit something hard. A phone. Cheap plastic. Black. No case. A burner. My mouth went dry. I wrapped it in one of her socks and slipped it under my arm. Downstairs, Teresa was in the playroom trying to calm Alex, who was running circles with a plastic fire truck. Nina was drawing at the table, humming to herself. Normal chaos. I forced myself to smile and wave. I'm gonna check something in the garage, I said. Teresa nodded without looking up. Do whatever you need. They're wound up today. I stepped into the garage and shut the door behind me. The air was heavy and warm. My hands shook as I pulled the burner out and turned on my laptop. I opened the cloning software, plugged the phone in. The device vibrated once. A small loading bar showed up on my screen. Copying for percent. 9. 13. Every second felt like a minute. I kept glancing at the door, expecting Kayla to walk in early, expecting Teresa to ask a question, expecting the whole damn world to catch me in the act. 52%. 78. 95. Done. I yanked the cable out, powered the phone off, wrapped it back in the sock, and shoved it into my pocket. Then I forced myself to breathe slow so I didn't look suspicious when I walked inside. I slipped upstairs and placed the phone exactly where it had been. Back of the drawer under the socks, face down. Same angle, same dust line. Then I walked downstairs like nothing happened. That night, after the kids were asleep and Kayla was folding laundry on the couch, I told her I was tired and heading to bed early. She kissed my cheek and said she'd join me later. I went into the office and locked the door. Then I opened the clone data. The first text thread hit me like a hammer. Her messages with B. No heart emojis. No cutesy crap. Just blunt, sharp lines that made my chest feel like it was tearing open. He didn't suspect a thing. Same hotel next Thursday? I can't believe he buys your excuses. You deserve better than someone like him. Then Kayla replied, he's clueless. Always has been. I pushed away from the desk, almost knocking over the chair. I grabbed the edge of the table to keep myself upright. I kept reading. They joked about me, trash-talked my job, my routines, my schedule. They mapped out when I traveled so they could meet up. Talked about nights in hotels. Talked about how easy this all was. Every line made the room smaller. There were no names, just that one initial, B. I tried replaying the footage in my head. The broad shoulders, the confident walk, the key, the way he lifted my son like he'd done it 1,000 times. My heart pounded so loud I could hear it in my ears. I whispered to myself, who the hell are you? I scrolled further. More texts, more planning, more cruelty. And underneath all of it, the same question kept ripping through my skull. Were my kids even mine? I closed the laptop, stood up, and grabbed the desk for balance. I didn't feel destroyed. Not yet. I felt focused. I walked out of the office and headed for the hallway, already planning my next move. I shut the hallway door behind me and dialed Ruth. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, what's going on? You sound. I need 5 minutes. No sugarcoating. You busy? No. Talk. I didn't ease her into it. I told her everything, the cameras, the receipts, the GPS, the burner phone, the texts. I heard her take one long breath about halfway through, but she didn't interrupt once. When I finished, there was silence. Then she said, all right, first you need space. You're too close to all of this. Let me cover you. I can't disappear, Ruth. I run the damn company. She cut me off. I'll fake a client crisis. Something that needs your face. Boise's slow enough not to draw attention. You're gone by morning. I didn't argue. By 10 the next morning, I had a bag packed and a booked flight. Kayla didn't even blink. Just kissed me goodbye and said, be safe out there. Ruth picked me up from the airport herself. No assistant. No small talk. She handed me a business card before I even closed the car door. Dennis Roth. Don't talk to anyone else. Don't Google him. Just meet him. What's his angle? Quiet. Deadly. He'll slit throats with a paperclip if you ask nicely. We drove straight to a plain brick office west of downtown. No signs, no receptionist, just a door buzzer and a code. Dennis Roth opened the door himself. He was maybe late 50s, lean, gray hair, gray suit, gray eyes. Looked like someone's tired uncle but talked like a loaded gun. He motioned me into his office. Sit. Talk. I didn't hold back. I laid out the surveillance, the phone clone, the footage, the paternity test on the way. I told him about my company, the prenup, the house, the kids. Everything. He didn't take a single note. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and folded his hands. Scorched earth or quiet? I stared him down. Full-scale destruction. He nodded once, like he was waiting for me to say it. Good. We begin now. He laid out a list. Gather every piece of evidence, timestamp everything, preserve the GPS logs. The burner phone and the key entry footage? Gold. He said they'd play like weapons in court. Not just adultery, but premeditated deception. Maybe even financial fraud if she'd spent joint money on the guy. Is his name confirmed? He asked. Just the initial. B. But I'll get it. He handed me a flash drive. Use this for anything else you find. No cloud. No email. Physical only. We shook hands, and it wasn't polite. It was binding. Outside, Ruth was still waiting in the car, tapping her fingers on the steering wheel. Well? She asked. I buckled in. He's everything you said he'd be. You ready to finish this? I didn't even look at her. Yeah, I am. She nodded, started the engine, and drove. Ruth dropped me off at the hotel, and I spent the rest of the afternoon pretending to work. I sat in the lobby with my laptop open, screens filled with spreadsheets I couldn't read. My mind was stuck on the paternity kit that should have arrived at the office by now. I kept checking my phone every few minutes like an addict waiting for a fix. Around 4, it buzzed. Ruth, they're in. Want me to read them? My hands went numb. I didn't text back. I called. She answered on the first ring. You sure? She asked. Read it. There was a pause. Too long. Then her voice dropped to something careful, almost gentle. They're not yours. Neither of them. I didn't hear anything after that. The phone slipped from my hand, hit the tile floor, and skidded across the lobby. People turned to look, murmuring, but all I could hear was a low ringing in my ears. A woman asked if I was okay. I didn't answer. I bent down, grabbed the phone, and walked outside into the cold Idaho air. I leaned against a pillar and felt my legs shake. For a second, I thought I'd fall. Nina's smile flashed in my head. Alex tugging at my pant leg. Their drawings taped to the fridge. All of it hit me at once, a punch to the gut that didn't stop. I stayed outside until my hands were stiff from the wind. Around 7, my phone rang again. Dennis, you standing somewhere private? He asked. Yeah. I got the name. The man from the footage is Brandon Nash. The name meant nothing at first, then everything at once. Kayla had mentioned him maybe twice in passing, her division VP, the one who hated Zoom calls, the one who traveled constantly. He's her boss, I said. Correct. Married. 2 kids. Been with the company 15 years. I've pulled enough internal documents to choke a horse. I rubbed my forehead. And he's the father? Yes, both children. Dates line up perfectly. Likely started during her first year there. I closed my eyes. Of course it did. Dennis's voice stayed steady. This opens wide legal ground. Workplace misconduct. Power imbalance. Potential violation of company policy. On top of adultery and paternity fraud. You're looking at a multi-front attack. I let out a breath that felt like it scraped my lungs. Good. We push all of it. I'll draft initial filings tonight. Do it. We hung up without another word. By the time I got back inside, Ruth texted again. Landing at 9. I'm coming to you. Don't argue. I didn't. She knocked on my door less than an hour later, holding a black binder thicker than a phone book. You need to eat, she said, shoving a takeout bag into my chest before I could speak. I set the food down untouched. She dropped the binder on the desk and opened it. Here's everything, she said. Asset protection steps, internal transfers, temporary shelters for your personal accounts. Everything we do today has to be legal, clean, and fast. If she gets wind of this, she'll move money. I flipped through the pages. Charts, signatures, timelines, instructions. Ruth didn't sugarcoat any of it. You'll shift your equity shares temporarily, she said. We'll route the pension fund repayment through the new structure. That keeps your liquidity protected. I nodded, still not fully breathing right. She rested a hand on my shoulder. You don't have to talk. Just sign where I marked. For the next hour, we worked in silence. Paper after paper, signature after signature. My whole marriage turning into a stack of legal prep. When we finally closed the binder, Ruth looked at me in a way she never had before. Not pity, not sympathy. Something firmer, solid. We're not letting them bury you, she said. I stood up, grabbed the binder, and locked it in my suitcase. Tomorrow, everything would start. I landed just after sunrise Monday and didn't go home right away. I went straight to Dennis's office, grabbed a coffee I didn't drink, and watched him go over the filings one last time. Fraud, adultery, intentional deception. Every line cut deeper than the last, but it was all true. He slid 2 thick folders across the table. Process servers are ready. One to her office, one to Nash, one to their HR department. Pull the pin, I said. Dennis didn't blink. He stood up and made the call. By the time I reached my front door, the wheels were already turning. Inside, the house was quiet. Teresa had the kids out. Kayla was at work. I dropped my bags and sat on the couch. 5 minutes later, my phone started vibrating like it was possessed. First call, Kayla. Declined. Second, again I silenced it. Then my mother, incoming call. I picked up. Sweetheart, she started, her voice already shaking. What's happening? Kayla said you're leaving her. She got served, didn't she? You're abandoning your children. No, I said. They're not mine. Silence. I waited for it to sink in. That's ridiculous, she said finally. They're your babies. You're their father. Not biologically. I don't care what some test says. Well, I do, I snapped. She gasped like I slapped her. You've raised them, loved them. And she lied to me for nearly a decade. Don't call me again unless you're ready to accept that. I hung up. Not 2 minutes later, my sister-in-law blew up my phone. Then the family group chat lit up, cousins, aunts, everyone with a damn opinion. I muted it all and tossed the phone on the table. By late afternoon, I knew Kayla would come home. I waited in my office, door wide open. I didn't move when I heard her heels in the hallway, moving fast. She stormed in, red-faced, hair a mess, holding the envelope like it burned. You filed for divorce? She snapped. I didn't let her go further. I stood and met her glare head-on. I know everything, Kayla. The burner, the texts, the footage. I know about Brandon. I know he used a key to get in. I know he's their father. Her mouth opened, then shut. Her whole face changed. You, she started, but I cut her off again. Don't talk. Don't spin this. Don't insult what little intelligence you ever thought I had. She dropped the envelope on my desk like that was going to hurt me. You think humiliating me at work is going to make you feel better? She hissed. No, that's just a bonus. I sat back down. She stood frozen, breathing heavy like she wanted to scream. I didn't give her the chance. I leaned back and looked her straight in the eye. Get a lawyer. You'll need one. She turned and stormed out. 5 minutes later, Teresa walked in, clearly shaken. I heard yelling, she said. Is everything okay? Did you know Brandon Nash was coming here? She hesitated. Kayla told me not to say anything. That's a yes. I just did what she asked. You let a man into this house, into my house, around my kids. You never told me. I thought it wasn't my place. You're fired, Teresa. Effective now. Pack your things and go. Her eyes welled up, and her voice cracked. Please. I didn't want to lie. You did. Multiple times. You chose her side. You can live with it. She left crying. I didn't chase her. I locked the door behind her, walked back to my desk, and sat in the silence. For the first time in months, I felt something close to still. Everything was falling apart exactly the way it needed to. Kayla came back 10 minutes after Teresa left. I was still in the office, staring at the empty hallway like it owed me something. She didn't knock. She walked in fast, lips tight, voice soft, like that was going to change anything. I never meant to hurt you, she said. I didn't answer. I wanted to tell you. I didn't know how. You did know how. You just didn't do it. Her eyes started to shine, and she stepped closer like we were still some kind of team. I thought about telling you so many times. Don't. I didn't want to lose this. You lost it a long time ago. You just didn't have to look at the damage. She froze in place, chest rising fast. I want you out, I said. Today. Pack your things. Take your kids. Go. Her mouth dropped. You're kicking your family out of their home? They're not my family. She blinked hard. You don't mean that. You've been their dad since day one. Then where the hell was I when their real dad came walking through the door? You think I didn't notice how fast they ran to him? She tried to speak again, but I raised my hand. They've got a real dad. Go find him. Her jaw clenched. They'll never understand. Good. I hope they never do. She stood there shaking, then turned and walked out. I heard her in the hallway telling Nina to get her bag. Her voice cracked when she told Alex it was time to go. I stayed at my desk, dead quiet. I didn't move until Teresa knocked gently on the doorframe, suitcase in hand, red eyes. Please, she whispered. Don't make me go. I didn't want to lie to you. Kayla told me. She said it was just a friend. I didn't know. You did. I needed the job. I stood up, grabbed the laptop from the corner of the desk, and turned the screen toward her. Here, I said. You want to see how many times he came in? How comfortable he was. Watch the damn footage. She looked down, then back at me. Her lips trembled. I'm sorry. Then leave. She walked out without another word. I didn't follow them to the door. I didn't watch them pull out of the driveway. I didn't check if they even took everything. I sat in the office until the house went still. And then I broke. I sank to the floor, back against the filing cabinet, fists clenched, and just let the quiet swallow everything. No yelling, no banging, no arguments, just the sound of air moving through a house that didn't feel like mine anymore. An hour later, the front door opened. Ruth walked in holding 2 grocery bags. She looked around once, said nothing, and set them on the kitchen counter. Then she walked into the office, saw me on the floor, and sat down beside me without asking. She didn't talk. She didn't ask questions. She just sat there. That night, I didn't go to bed. I laid down on the carpet, curled up under an old throw blanket, and passed out to the sound of the fridge humming. When I woke up, the house was quiet. No texts, no missed calls, no kids yelling or feet stomping down the stairs. Just silence. The silence stuck with me for days. It filled the rooms, crept into my chest, settled behind my eyes. I kept moving because stopping made everything worse. Brandon got fired 3 days after the paperwork hit HR. His company didn't want the lawsuit, the press, or the trail of emails Dennis had already flagged. They cut a private deal fast. 6 figures, no admission of guilt, and a quiet retirement package to make him disappear. I took the settlement. I wanted blood, but cash would do. Then Kayla tried to block me from the house. She filed a restraining order claiming I was unstable. Said I threatened her, scared the kids. Total fiction. Dennis crushed it in court within 48 hours. The judge looked at the footage and the paternity results and tossed her claim like trash. Still, I didn't want the house anymore. Too many ghosts in the walls. I sold it under market just to get rid of it. Took a hit but didn't care. I moved into a quiet condo across town. No backyard, no kids' drawings on the fridge, no memories. I kept my head down. Worked long hours. Rebuilt the company structure, paid off the pension loan, restructured assets. I moved like a machine. Ruth made sure of it. She stopped by most mornings with coffee and receipts. Didn't ask how I was. Didn't need to. "You're still standing," she said once. "That's enough for now." Kayla texted me twice a week at first, then daily. Then she started leaving voicemails, long, rambling ones that always ended the same. "They miss you." I didn't reply. I wasn't ready to hear Nina's voice through the phone. Wasn't ready to see Alex's face on a screen. I wasn't even sure what I was to them anymore. A memory? A lie? A placeholder? I deleted every message. Ruth never pushed. She just showed up. Groceries, paperwork, quiet company. We'd sit on my couch with laptops between us, phones buzzing with tasks. Sometimes we didn't say a word for an hour. One night, after a brutal call with a vendor, I just said it out loud. "I don't know what I'm doing anymore." She didn't pause. "You're surviving." I looked at her. She didn't flinch. "You think I'm weak?" I asked. "No. I think you got hit by a truck, and you're still walking. That's not weakness." I didn't thank her. Didn't cry. I just nodded and got back to work. That's how it went. No big moments. No breakdowns. Just one step. Then another. The divorce papers came in a thick white envelope, dropped on my desk like any other piece of mail. No ceremony. No final blow. I opened it with my pocket knife, unfolded the top sheet, and stared at the word. Finalized. Just like that, it was over. I didn't feel anything at first. Just sat there with it in my hands, elbows on the desk, half a cup of cold coffee next to me. My phone rang. "Ruth." I answered. Her voice was low, steady. "Brandon's dead." I blinked once. "What?" "His wife shot him. Caught him with Kayla again. This time, he didn't walk out." I sat back in my chair, let my head fall against the cushion. "I figured you'd want to know," she said. I didn't respond. Not with words. I just closed my eyes. I didn't feel sad. Not angry. Not relieved. Just blank. Ruth didn't try to fill the silence. She hung up without another word. 20 minutes later, I heard the front door open. She walked straight into my office and dropped a fresh envelope on top of the divorce file. "Final piece," she said. I looked down. Brandon's settlement check. Enough to kill the last of my debts. Wipe everything clean. I exhaled through my nose, slow. "Thanks." She smiled, but it wasn't her usual sharp edge. This one was softer. "You've always done right," she said. "Let me show you not everyone lies." Then she leaned in and kissed me. No hesitation. No drama. Just real. I didn't push her away. I didn't second guess it. I let her kiss me because it felt like the first true thing I'd had in years. When she pulled back, I looked her in the eye. "How many kids do you think we should have?" She laughed. An actual laugh, the kind that breaks tension like glass. "Let's start with surviving one normal dinner together." I smiled. First real one in a long time. I wasn't fixed. Not even close. But I was free. And maybe that was enough.